Now, in my 1 week review, I told you guys that the Galaxy S23 completely smashes the S22, and it does, but I also think that it's one of the safest phones that you can buy in 2023. Now again, the Galaxy S23 is a phone that has improved a lot since last year. It doesn't overheat, the battery life isn't trash, and it gave me an all-around great experience. And I'd also say that it's slightly better than the Pixel 7, way better than the iPhone 14, and still holds up extremely well after a month of use. The S23 has a 120Hz refresh rate that's much smoother. It has a better build quality with its stainless steel and matte components. And last but not least, it has a really good value for the price that you're paying. And even though the S23 isn't perfect and I have some nitpicks that I would like to share, I still really enjoyed it and I wanted to give you guys my experience to show you how it holds up. Now, the Galaxy S23 has a 6.1-inch dynamic AMOLED display that was very impressive from the start, and even though it had a 1080p resolution, I think that it looks really good in person. Whenever I'm scrolling through my phone, it looked very nice, everything looked smooth, the responsiveness was very precise, and I had no complaints about the overall feel. Something else that I realized was that the display doesn't really scratch up easily. I've decided to rock mine without a screen protector, and so far, the resistance is holding up very well. Now, the S23 has a 120Hz refresh rate. Scrolling through the OS and many different apps felt as smooth as ever, and since the display has great responsiveness, it made everything feel even more precise, smooth, and sharp. The display can also drop down to 60Hz whenever it needs to preserve battery life, so if you're someone who wants extra battery life and doesn't really care about 120 or maxing out your screen resolution, the S23 Plus is definitely for you. Now, the bezels are extremely small. Right here, you can see that they're wrapped nicely around the screen and are very clean. The hole punch camera is also very small, so it won't bother you whenever you're using your phone, and this helped a lot when I was doing things like gaming or watching a movie. And now when it comes to brightness, the S23 is at 1750 nits, which is really good for whenever you're using your phone outside. No matter how much the sun was shining, I could see the screen perfectly, and you can also put the brightness to maximum if you need it to be brighter. And something that I didn't like about the S23's display, but it has gotten better since the last update, is facial recognition. There were many times where I'm trying to unlock my phone and it wasn't working, and if it was working, it would be pretty slow. In the video, I'm having a good day, so it's going very fast, but there are also days where it's just not working properly. Now, the fingerprint scanner worked much better. It was very fast, and it was also the reason that I decided to turn off facial recognition and just use my fingerprint instead. Now, the responsiveness still holds up very well and is easily my favorite part of the screen. Its quick and snappiness made the phone feel not only good, but fast, so it should give you an idea of how fast the S23 is. Now, the resolution and viewing experience of the S23's display is an amazing benefit when it comes to consuming media or playing video games. Gaming was something that I did a ton of when using my S23. The main game that I did play was Asphalt 9, and that game takes up a good amount of space and power, so it was really good to see that the S23 can handle it with ease. And I was also able to see everything very clearly when watching videos. Now, the Galaxy S23 has a 3900 mAh battery that has not only outdone the S22, but it was also able to last me for most of the day on a consistent basis. And mind you, I'm the type of person that is usually on my phone all day doing things like writing scripts, planning B-roll, shooting videos, scrolling through social media, watching YouTube videos, and texting my friends. And I'm usually getting over 4 to 5 hours of screen time a day, and I only charge my phone when I go to sleep. And just like with any other phone I'm reviewing, I don't cut any corners. I always have 5G on, no auto brightness, I maxed out the resolution, and I never used the power saving mode, so again, I was extremely impressed. And while I was gaming, it would hurt the battery a lot, but most of the time I did keep my phone plugged in. On my heavy gaming sessions, I would be gaming for about 2.5 hours, and when not connected to the cable, my battery would take a 30% hit, which is much better than a lot of other phones in the price range, but again, it's still a really big hit. And if I could give a quick estimate, I would say that my battery is usually on 25% by the end of the day when I wasn't gaming. And again, I didn't really use it that much, so it was able to give me a full day's worth of battery. And then the last thing that I wanted to touch on when it came to the battery was the charging. I used my 25 watt fast charger, and my phone was able to charge from 0 to 100% in over an hour. So if you do find yourself in a situation where you forgot to charge your phone, you can put it on the charger while you're getting ready for work, and it should be on at least 60 to 70% by the time you're done, depending on how long it takes you to get ready. Now, looking at software, the Galaxy S23 supports Android 13 and is also supported by One UI 5.1, and not only was it incredibly smooth, but there were also many different features that make it the ultimate phone as far as customization. I liked how I could stay connected to my Google apps and calendar to give you that extra option of customization. I like that I could edit my widgets and make them dark or transparent to fit certain themes. I could use custom wallpapers. The always on display was much more customizable than most flagships. I like the fact that I could still use Samsung DeX on a lower tier Samsung phone. I can edit how I want my display to react to notifications. And there are many different customizations that you can do to make this phone truly yours. And in terms of software smoothness, I felt the smoothness all the way through. Samsung phones are typically very sharp when it comes to optimizing software, and I also love how you get that same great feeling across all Samsung phones. And I also decided to test out some games on the S23. I play games from Call of Duty to Asphalt 9 to Smashy Road 2, etc., which are games that can really test out the chip, and as you can see, it held up very well and I didn't get any lags while playing. And now the final thing that I wanted to note was that the S23 will be getting 4 years worth of software upgrades, so when it comes to longevity, it's definitely got you covered. Now just like the S22, the S23 has some really loud speakers that were very good whenever I used them. They weren't as good as the S23 Plus or the S23 Ultra, but that's kind of expected because it is a smaller phone. I would usually use the speakers in the house whenever watching videos on social media or YouTube. And again, it wasn't as good as those other phones, but for the price and the size, it still was really good. And I also tested out how they sounded when playing music. And if I'm being honest, they're loud. And I was surprised to say that I didn't experience a dip in quality. And right here, I'm going to give you guys an idea of how the speakers sound. Now, the Galaxy S23 has a 50 megapixel main camera along with a 10 megapixel telephoto and 12 megapixel selfie, while also having a 12 megapixel ultra wide. And based on my usage over the past month, I would say that the pictures still look really good. Now, starting with zoom modes, the S23 has a couple of different zoom modes, and of course the quality gets dumbed down a bit once you get closer, but I found all of the zoom modes to be really great when compared to other smartphones. The shutter speed has gotten better, but there's still room for improvement. I decided to test it out by shooting a moving car, and as you can see right here, the camera was able to capture most cars beautifully, but it still couldn't compare to the iPhone or the Pixel. And next up, I want to show you guys how the camera performed in different environments, and the first environment that I will be starting with is daytime. Now, looking at the outside photos, the selfies were good, but couldn't capture my skin tone well. I think that as a person of color, they are lackluster and make me look lighter than I actually am. Also, the sharpness on my face could be too much sometimes when compared to the Google Pixel or the iPhone, where the sharpening isn't overtaking the photo. And I also took some photos of random street objects, the sky, different aspects of nature, and I can honestly say that the Galaxy S23 held up very well in these environments, and I'm really impressed since the sharpness did a lot better with the main camera. Now, taking a look at inside photos, the S23 was able to capture everything very nice, and I found the pictures to be slightly less aggressive than the outside photos in terms of sharpness. Whenever I took selfies, again, it didn't look good because it made me look lighter than I actually am, and the brightness didn't correlate as well. And now when it comes to shooting video, the Galaxy S23 is a good phone that was able to capture quality shots. You have resolution starting from 720p all the way up until 4K, and as far as frame rate, you have 30 and 60. And I prefer to shoot my videos in 4K at 30 frames per second because a lot of people don't have 8K monitors, so there's no point, and it takes up too much space. 4K looks really good, and 30 frames per second makes it look very realistic while also being pretty smooth. The video stabilization was really good. I shoot my videos with my phone, so whenever I'm shooting my subject, I can use everything handheld, and the movements will be very smooth, which was very impressive. So all in all, I would definitely say that the S23 has a good video camera that will give you some consistently good shots. So if you're someone who wants to shoot content or you just want a solid camera, it's definitely got you covered. And also, here's some extra videos that I was able to get. So here's the final question. Is the Galaxy S23 worth buying? Well, from my personal experience, I will say that it's 100% worth buying, and it's a total upgrade from last year. And I remember last year when I was saying that the Galaxy S21 FE was better than the S22, but if I'm being honest, the Galaxy S21 FE and the S22 are nowhere near compared to the S23. The Galaxy S23 has a really good software, it was able to last me all day, and it still has that very premium build quality, so there's really no downsides for its price range. So if you are someone who does prefer the Galaxy S23, it's definitely a phone that you'll be satisfied with, and it also has really good customization with that Samsung experience, so that's an added benefit. But there it is, you guys, my review on the Galaxy S23. And if you have any questions for me, you can ask them in the comment section down below. And again, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace.